Hey y'all, it's time for Rolling Dice and Taking Names. In this racing theme episode, the guys review Rallyman Dirt, Charioteer, and the new Heat expansion. Then the guys will rank the 3 games on which they like best. Plus, there are 5-minute initiatives for Sandbag and Agueda, and a special on-location taste buds.
Hello and welcome to Rolling Dice and Taking Names. This is episode 325. Don't Stop Us Now. My name is Marty.
I'm Tony.
Don't Stop Us Now. I don't know this one.
Queen?
Oh, everybody, I'm going to save you having to write in for $5 as you're drastically typing as Don't Stop Me Now.
Oh, okay. Let me do that then. I'll change that. I thought it was Don't Stop Me Now. That's it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we'll do that.
Oh, everybody was just typing away. No, it's not.
No, it's not Queen. Yeah. All right. So yeah. Okay. Space Queen. Okay, show notes are correct. Do you want to start over again, or are we good?
No, we're good. That's a great song. Love that song.
Yes,
that
it is.
That song's been used. That song was used in the season 1 of Umbrella Academy and used so well.
I saw that.
You saw Umbrella Academy season 1?
Season 1 only.
Yeah, that's fine. That's the best season, so you're good.
All right.
I know it ends on a cliffhanger, but
okay. Let me rephrase that. I've seen enough of Umbrella Academy to say I haven't seen all of the season. I forget where we start, but I'm a little distracted. My daughter has left me with the dogs for 2.5 weeks now, as she and her husband fly to Thailand, Atlanta to Korea, 15.5 hours.
Yeah, I've done it.
Why? Fun. No fun.
No, it's not. They're going to visit family or something.
Yeah, his mom's from Thailand, and so they're going to visit the family. Which would you rather do? Fly straight or have multiple stops? And I know you can't stop on the Pacific. That would not be possible.
Would I rather go 15 hours straight or stop? I probably would say straight because I do not like to fly. Now, it's not that I have a fear of flying. I just hate the traveling part, so I want to get over as fast as possible. It's like me on a road trip, right? I want to stop as few times as possible because I just want to get there.
Okay, you and Donna are a lot alike. I'm the other side of it. When I had to drive to Florida by myself, it was, okay, I'm going to stop here briefly. Oh, I want to stretch my legs a little bit briefly. I don't need to hurry to get there. I mean, yeah, half the adventure is the getting there. For you, it's I'm there.
Yes. You know, it's one of those things I've always said, if I could have a superpower, it'd be one of 2 things, teleportation or speed. So I could get to where I'm going as fast as I can.
Teleportation. I'm with, yes, because that's what I've always wanted. I wanted Donna to invent a teleporter. That was her goal, to invent a teleporter so that we could travel. But the thing about putting your molecules together, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's the taking them apart that's kind of scary too.
Well, if they put things in the wrong place, that's kind of scary too.
How many times has that been done in sci-fi shows of things not coming back together? I mean, that was The Fly, right? Wasn't The Fly about some sort of teleportation like that, and the Fly got in the chamber with him?
I know the Fly got in the chamber. I don't know why there was a chamber.
Okay, so, I can't remember what the premise of the Fly. It was something about because they had to reassemble them and it was reassembled incorrectly.
Oh, is that what it is, or was it to be able to remove disease or something? I don't know. I'm making it up. I've only seen the key parts of it. Help me! That's all I've seen, I think. And is this the Fly with Jeff Goldblum?
Jeff Goldblum or the original?
I've only seen parts of both, so yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Or maybe it's like the television in Willy Wonka.
Ooh.
You remember that, where they take them and make them really small?
TV Mike.
So we take your molecules and go them all the way over here right into this box.
Mom, I'm the first kid on TV. Mom, I'm the first kid.
Yeah,
whatever
something like that, yeah.
TV. Oh, that was such a good movie. Man.
Hey, are you talking about the original or the second one?
The original.
Yeah.
Come on. Please. Nothing against Mr. Pirates of the Caribbean himself, but I'm sorry, you cannot touch Gene Wilder. I'm sorry.
No, you can't. No, he was iconic. I think the thing is that people may have liked about the second one is supposedly it was closer to the book.
Okay.
But yeah, no, nothing could beat Gene Wilder. Did you? Oh, by the way, speaking of which, You saw Wonka, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we watched it recently.
Okay. And?
No, we fell asleep.
You fell asleep. Wow. Okay.
There was too much singing. What was all the singing?
That was the premise.
Oh, my gosh.
It was
I
supposed
didn't realize there was that much singing. Vanessa was like, can we just skip to the singing part?
What? That was some of the best parts.
Was it?
I think so.
Was it?
It depends on
the greatest showman on earth, some of the best parts were singing. I really can't say that about Wonka.
All right. So, and that was one that I had no idea that there was singing, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Broadway is, that's what I was thinking. I knew Les Mis there'd be singing, but I didn't know about that. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Greatest showman. And when's he going to get with the claws? Come on, Hugh, get the claws out.
That's this summer, July 20-something. Oh, by the way.
I was trying to lead into it, and we did it.
It's down between me and Dan at this point.
Why
you and
do
Chris
you say
are out
that?
of it. What do you have left?
I have
you
Twisters.
seen the numbers?
Twisters hasn't even...
Ain't no way. Ain't no way that's going to touch me or Dan.
My one movie is equal to one of yours.
Which one?
Whichever one I had at the beginning. I forget. It had 85. Oh, Fall Guy. It has 85.
Yeah, compared to my what?
Which one is your lowest one?
78.
Okay, we're equal. I still have 2 movies to play.
That was my third pick.
It doesn't matter where
Fall
it was
Guy
picked.
was your... Why didn't you take Inside Out? That's the one I still do not understand. It made $155 million this past weekend.
It did? Okay.
Yeah. Fall Guys at $87 million and has been out pretty much the entire time. And Inside Out 2 is already at $155.
Oh, yeah.
And Bad Boys is at $112, which was the last pick of the draft.
That one blows my mind.
And he still has Despicable Me left, which will be a big movie.
I thought that would be a terrible movie.
So Garfield was 78. So anything taken after that is greater than 78, basically, I screwed up. Right now, it's only Bad Boys. Will Borderlands or Quiet Place make more than Garfield? Potentially, but we'll see. Those were the last 2 that was taken in that round.
Right. I mean, so if Borderlands is suddenly a late summer hit, yeah, I should have taken Inside Out. But I was also questioning, is it really going to, is it going to beat number 1? Is the sequel going to carry over, or is it going to stink? Kind of like a Mad Max movie.
Oh my gosh, that was, yeah. So Furiosa is currently a 63.
Okay.
I had the last pick in the last round of Planet of the Apes, and it is at 157.
That's surprising.
That falling all the way back to me was surprising too. But
once again, the longer sequels run, I don't feel like they hold up value. I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I just thought that, have we done enough apes?
I guess not.
I guess not. And the Garfield, well, it did tank. And I was like, okay, is, Inside Out number 2, everybody... But see, Inside Out number 1, yeah, it pulled in big numbers, but it wasn't critically acclaimed for what it was. A lot of people didn't really talk about it. They didn't like it.
Making fun of Garfield, but it made more than Furiosa.
Well, it had a late surge this past weekend, I think.
What? It still made more than Furiosa.
That's what I'm saying. It was, down, and I think it's continuing. It's beginning to track. Everybody's seen the best. Let's go see Garfield.
Well, it's what kids' movies hang around for a while, which is why Despicable Me and Inside Out 2 may together take out Deadpool. It really could.
Right. And I saw where If it's already gone to the streaming or gone.
It has. It made a little over 100 million.
All right. Which surprised me, but it was not the success I thought it was going to be.
Nope.
I haven't gone and seen. I haven't seen any movies this summer, so they don't have my $50 or whatever it costs to go to a movie now. And you were concerned that we wouldn't have banter at the beginning of this show. Please give me a break. I don't want to.
So what's this? What's this thing you're talking about? Just pull the curtains back. On our show notes, each of us will drop a sentence or a word for something they want to talk about, but we don't talk about what it is for before we start, so we can kind of get a reaction. So, What is this you got in the show notes here?
All right. So, we'll squirrel a little bit here, but so my mother-in-law is up. She's driving up from Florida, and for those, I'll go ahead and disclose. Unfortunately, my wife, her dad passed away 3 weeks ago when this episode comes out. And if you're following me on Facebook, which I don't post, you would know this. But anyway, my point is, she's driving up from Florida, And on I-95, you know where Georgia and South Carolina, as you're heading northbound, come down to 2 lanes?
Yes.
Yeah, you're going into South Carolina, where it would be nice if McMaster's would actually spend money on a highway or an interstate.
Yes.
But so you're driving in and it's narrowing down, and it always backs up there, right? The woman's driving and she's coming to a stop. Young guy behind her decides that he needs to take a picture on the bridge that overlooks whatever river that is.
Okay.
Bam! Right into the back of her.
Oh my gosh.
So,
what?
So,
there's so much going on and something crappy like that to happen.
She's fine, but the car's got, $7,000 worth of damage. She can't lift the tailgate, and it's full of stuff as she's heading towards New York. I tell you this because now I have the pleasure of having her in my house longer. Okay?
Okay.
All right. And so we get to play games.
Wow.
My family plays games. How's yours doing?
They don't do that.
They don't do it.
Unless donuts are involved, like y'all heard last episode, not a lot of game playing happens here.
Or skirmishes with some Japanese thing going on. Yeah. I mean, that's the way it goes. So she wanted to really play Sagrada. She loves playing Sagrada.
Nice.
So we're playing Sagrada, and we're playing, and it's her turn to roll, and she's pulling the dice out the bag, and she's just pulling them out and dropping them on the table. And then she's sorting them by value. And I go, are you going to roll them? She goes, I did roll them. I go, no, you didn't. You pulled them straight out of the bag. That's not rolling. She goes, yeah, it is. So we got into a big debate, the 5 of us, my daughter, her husband, Donna, me, and my mother-in-law. We're debating what's rolling dice. Is it as simple as pulling it out of a bag and dropping it on the table, or do you have to collect all of them and roll them? What's your opinion, sir? When the rules say randomly select dice and roll them?
I think that's pretty much what it says. Picking up and placing on the table is not rolling a die. Rolling a die is having it tumble across the table a few times.
Versus pulling it out of a bag and just dropping it?
Whether you shake it in your hand or not, you must give it some sort of force so that it tumbles a couple of times on the table to be even considered a roll.
Well, of the 5 players, 3-2, that was deemed not rolling.
So you can just pick up a die, place it, and that's considered rolling.
Well, no, she was saying she was dropping it. She wasn't just picking up and placing.
Well, you could drop it and it just sticks without rolling.
Unless you've got a great game topper mat where it will bounce.
Us among gamers, that would not fly.
No, I agree. So I'm curious what our Discord channel thinks. What do you consider rolling dice? Is it as simple as selecting die and then just, without shaking them in your fist, just dropping them on the table? Is that rolling dice?
So dropping dice on the table and letting them bounce a couple times would be legit for 3 out of the 5 people at your table.
No, it was the other 3 out of 5 said you had to shake them and roll them.
Oh, then I agree with those people. Yes.
Yeah.
Who were the 2 dissenting? One was a mother-in-law, of course.
Yeah, and then my son-in-law, but he likes to always be the opposing. He's a lawyer. He's going to go to the opposite side of everybody else. We just have fun like that. And he's the one I played Takeado Duo, and he wanted to play Lincoln. I just didn't get the rules read. Takedo, sorry. He wanted to play, like I said, just Lincoln, but I didn't get the rules read in time. I need to get that played.
Oh, y'all should play the full game. It's good. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, it's very, very different, right? Because that's the whole whoever's at the end gets to move, which doesn't exist in the 2-player.
No, this is the 2-player.
Oh, I thought you were talking
Wallace.
about pulling. I'm lost. What game are you trying to learn?
Martin Wallace's Lincoln.
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally misheard Lincoln. I thought you said you were trying to read the rules for the full game of Takedo. Okay.
No. That's still got to be done. I'm sorry. But yeah.
Lincoln's good.
I know. I want to play it. And I just haven't. I got through all the actions, but we didn't have to. When I saw it was 90 to 120 minutes, I was like, I can't exclude everybody.
It's legit that. I mean, I remember I played a couple times, and I think our second play, we got it down to 90 or a little less. But once you feel comfortable with it, does move, which is not a lot of downtime, which is nice. Man, that's an old classic game. It was funny. I was going through my games of like, what should I get rid of and stuff. And I saw that one, was like, I'm keeping that one. Mm-hmm. Will I get to play it again anytime soon? I don't know, but it's a great designer. It's a great theme. So
yeah. And we played a 5-player version of a game we may be talking about on this episode. It depends on how we're running. And that will add. So I have played it with 2. I've played it with 3. Now I've played it with 5, so I've got an opinion on that one if we cover it. And I know I'm teasing because if I say it and we don't cover it, then everybody's like, well, when are you going to do it? I'm like, that's a good point.
I don't even know what he's talking about.
Umbrellas.
Well, we got that on the show to do today.
But you move the show notes if we run along.
No, I don't. Look, it's right there. It's Agueda. How do you say that?
Yes. That's it.
I got it right there. It's going to be sandwiched along with Sandbag between our other racing games because, y'all, we are doing a racing-themed episode. All of the big games that we're covering are racing games, including Rallyman Dirt, Charioteer, and Heat with the new expansion.
Going all the way back to the beginning, Don't Stop Me Now is a great driving song. That's why it's the title of the episode.
It is a good driving song.
Mm-hmm. Don't stop me now. So, I mean, you just drive, go. And, I mean, you think about that as you pass by the cop. Don't stop me now. Okay, you're stopping me now. This is going to be expensive. All right, enough talking. I'm thirsty. Taste buds. Two incredible stars. Taste buds. Two incredible stars. Taste buds. They're just a bunch of.
All right, so on Discord channel, we saw this a while ago. We've been looking for it. Finally found it. We're talking the Dr. Pepper Creamy Coconut Zero Sugar Drink. Do you like coconut?
Yes.
Me too.
My daughter hates it. She hates anything with coconut.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I'd always buy Almond Joys. So I knew she wouldn't eat them.
I like Mounds more than Almond Joy.
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts, but
Mounds don't. I think that's in the commercial.
It is. That's the jingle. All right, here we go. So this is brought to our attention of our Discord channel, and finally tracked one. Well, actually, what happened was Vanessa got this for us. She had found Mountain Dew Zero Sugar Purple Thunder. And she went to a friend's house who had this, so they did a trade. Hey, I'll trade you 3 of the Purple Thunder for 3 of the Creamy Coconuts. That's how we got that.
Okay. So I'm excited to taste this. Donna has already tasted because I cracked it open because she goes, what's that? And I'm like, and she's like, and I know she loves coconut. But yeah, so this is cracked open. I haven't smelled it yet, but I did get the 2 of the 3 new flavors for Mountain Dew for the 4th of July.
I got all 3.
You got all 3, then I don't have to bring you any.
Red, white, and blue, baby. They aren't zero sugar.
No, they're not. And which one? I'll have to look and see which one I'm missing so you can bring it to me on game night so I can taste it.
Okay. Good. All right, cracking this open. I know yours is already open. So let's get a whiff here with the effervescence.
Oh, that's coconut. That smells like suntan
That is
lotion.
100%. Yeah. I don't even hardly get any of the Mountain Dew smell.
Well, it's good because it's Dr. Pepper.
Wow. Dr. Pepper. Yeah, that too. All right, let's try this bad boy.
All right.
That is coconut.
It's coconut and it's Dr. Pepper and it's good.
It's good.
That's good. Oh, man, yeah. Got a little aftertaste, but I like it. One of their favorite things is coconut rum. Siesta Keys coconut rum. They love that. I'm not a big...
This has almost gives you like the pina colada type.
Exactly.
Ooh, cool and coconutty. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
Once again, y'all, remember, if you have anything interesting you'd like us to try or whatever, come on Discord channel, let us know, or hit us up if you want to send us something, we'll do that. But Tony, we did a remote taste buds.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about this because I finally got it to you. Okay.
Out at Bojangles. So we're going to finish off this segment with a remote taste buds on location at Bojangles.
All right, this is an impromptu taste buds, and so we're sitting at Bojangles getting ready to do a little Star Wars Unlimited, and they have a new thing called the Bowberry Cookie, and I splurged and picked one up, and Marty and I are going to split it. I'll promise you I'll get this on the show, and you can put they've heard the song. So what do you think so far? It's a little burnt.
Yeah, so, I mean, it smells like a blueberry muffin.
I mean, it smells really good. It's warm. Now, we did see another thing up here, which I'm really stuck by. So they make blue bowberry biscuits.
Oh, so good.
Which are basically they're biscuits with blueberries in it, and then drizzled with the vanilla type icing on top. But now they're offering a bowberry sausage biscuit. I'm confused by this. Why would I want sausage in my bowberry biscuit?
I don't know. And then they drizzle the icing on top of the sausage.
Right. I don't know.
That may be one that when we're back here to taste this, we'll give it a shot. And now I did, once again, y'all, I did the yard dog, or what is it called? Bird dogs.
Okay. Bird dogs, yeah. Which is what?
They're hot dogs made with chicken fingers. That's it.
No, I think it is yard dog. Because
they said bird dogs. I just saw it on the side. Yeah, bird dog. So
it's
the
bread
bread was good.
Chicken tender and a hot dog bun.
That's it. I had to.
With 2 pickles and some sort of sauce. It's a great idea.
It's another way to eat them. I'm like, okay.
And actually around the restaurant, there's other people eating those. So
there we go. All right, so here we go. We're going to taste bud this new bowberry cookie that is nothing more than a blueberry cookie.
Well, that's pretty darn good.
Yep.
That is pretty, I know I love blueberry muffins and blueberries. This is pretty good.
This is good. It's nice soft cookie, which I love soft cookies.
So it's like a sugar cookie with blueberries mixed in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
But is it $1.50 good?
No. It wasn't that big of a cookie.
No, it wasn't that big of a cookie.
Should be 99 cents.
There you go. Or get a dozen for whatever.
A dozen for 10.
10. There you go. This was an impromptu taste buds. It's a very good cookie. And now for some Star Wars Unlimited play, which I'm sure you're going to hear about in this show.
Our good friend Berkey, who heads up Gametoppers, has a big summer sale going on. He has 15% off all accessories and premium game mats. This includes discounted package deals, and he has a limited supply of discounted second home stoppers. And Tony, I didn't know this till today. Somebody asked on the Facebook page, they said, hey, I got my mat dirty. How can I take care of that? Did you know that you can throw these mats in the washing machine on the gentle cycle?
I did not know that.
Berkey said they'll hold up because they're stitched and everything. Just a gentle cycle on the washer. Let them air dry out in the sun and they're good to go.
I got some Qdoba salsa on one of them. Even though I've scotch guarded it, I may need to run that one through. That's good to know.
Yep. So there is a way to keep these mats in tip-top shape. They hold together very well because they're all stitched. They're weighted very nice. And again, 15% off right now on all those mats and other accessories. To find out more, head over to shop.gametoppersllc.com. The first racing game we're going to cover is Rallyman Dirt. This is from Synapsis Games. It's a game designed by Jean-Christophe Bouvier. This game plays 1 to 6 players. Tony, there's 2 versions of Rallyman. There's Rallyman Dirt, Rallyman GT. Now, we got sent Rallyman Dirt. One of the main reasons why is because Synapsis actually created us card packs for Rallyman Dirt that has our logo on it. So all the cars have the RDTN logo on the car itself, and you can use those in your game. And actually, we're going to have a way to get those to people. I know that anybody that comes to our Gen Con event, everybody's going to get a free pack of those, but we're also going to offer a way to get those on the website. But anyway, because we were selected for the Rallyman Dirt, that's the game that we played. But it's not really a racing game in that you're racing against other people. It's a time trial. Mm-hmm. So in Rallyman Dirt, it's basically who can get to the end the fastest, as opposed to the other couple games we're going to be talking about where you're trying to maneuver in and out of other cars on the track. That might happen, but typically you aren't bunched up together. Instead, you're just trying to get from point A to point B, which is the finish line, as fast as you can.
Simple game, and that's a good thing. Racing games can be complicated at times.
Like what? Well, I'm trying to think of what's a complicated racing game we've played.
Sometimes Flamme Rouge.
Okay.
It depends on how the drafting works.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one that's supposed to be complicated is the GMT game, Thunder Alley.
Yes, but I've never played that one. I have it in shrink. It's one of those that's still in shrink and never roll your eyes.
Gosh. When you present this to me, and it's like, okay, wait, so is this a time trial? And I understand that from playing video games, from playing Dirt. That's immediately what my mind jumped to is, am I doing Dirt? And I know dirt had some racing in it, but I'm like, okay, that's cool. I like this concept where I need to manipulate my dice as I move across the track better than yours to get the shortest amount of time. That was the concept. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, this is straightforward. Now it got a little bit more complicated when we started talking about going into hairpin turns and being able to gear down and big exclamation points on the dice, because sometimes you can definitely roll some dice and it will hurt your turn. You will be, you'll spin out, and it's not a good day to spin out in this. You'll take some penalties, but we didn't. We did not spin out. So, and our cards, by the way, people, for those of you wondering, why should I waste my money on these cards? And those that are going to the strike tournament, if we remember to pack them, I just want to make a clarification there. We got to remember to pack them.
Yeah, we'll start a packing list. Yeah, I'll make sure they're on there.
Our cards allow for an additional exclamation point. I almost feel like our car was the training wheel car.
It's a lot easier to wreck or have an issue with the original cards than what ours do. Ours allow for one extra bad die roll, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I like about this is the tiles are hex-based tiles that you assemble together to create a road track. The back of the rules give you a bunch of options for road tracks. They're short, medium, and long, depending on how long of a game that you want to play. So you can set that up however long you want to sit there and do it. And then you're going to have staggered starts starting out the game. Even though this is a classic game that's been around for a while, we've never played it, but I was really enthralled by the use of the dice. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to talk about the basic dirt track. You're going to have 6 gear dice, 2 coast dice, and a brake die to use. And you're going to actually lay out your dice and how you want to use them on the track. So starting out, you need to put it in first gear. So you'll actually take your number 1 gear die, put it in a space. Then if you want to shift to second gear, you take your number 2 gear and put it in the next space. And the rules for placing the gear die is that you must always increase by 1 your gear or decrease by 1. Now the white die is for coasting. Let's say that you get up into third gear, but you don't want to shift into fourth because maybe you see a turn coming. You can place the white dice deck next, which means you're just staying in the same gear. And the red die allows you to do a quick shift. So let's say, for example, you're wanting to go to second gear from fourth gear, but you've already used your third gear previously. By the way, every gear only has 1 die, 1 through 6. So if I'm wanting to get from 4 to 2, the only way I can possibly do that is to use the 2 die with a red die with it, saying I'm shifting, and removes that intermediate step from going to the 4 die to the 2 die by using that brake die.
Yeah, the brake die, you're braking hard, baby. That's what you're doing. You're slamming it. You're going into that turn, or you're going straight
from fourth to second, basically. Skipping
you're
third
skipping
altogether.
a gear. You're skipping a gear, baby. You don't want to strip that. Don't.
Mm-mm.
And you don't want to. I mean, how many people know how to drive stick shift? I mean, I do. Do you? Do you still remember how to?
Yeah, I miss driving stick shift. When they're not sitting on 77 interstate stop and go traffic, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun if you're able to. That's why I was going. Find that sweet spot on the clutch.
I remember learning how to do that. And we had hills in our local town, Indian Trail, at a stoplight. And it's like, please don't. Oh, you turned red. You turned red. I'm 16 years old. And, it's like, trying to keep just a little tension on the clutch. So that when it's time to go, you don't, what do you call it? When you let the clutch out too quick. Stall, yeah.
Stall. Or your dad sitting next to you, you're teaching, you're sitting on that hill. All right, you got this, boy. Don't roll back. Don't roll back. Don't stall out. And then you pop it and you shoot across the intersection.
I'm doing the thing where you're using 1 foot to cover both the gas and the brake. So I got my foot on the brake and I'm slowly depressing the gas as I let the brake up. Yeah, all this. Anyway, stick shifts are fun. But yes, this is a stick shift. Now, what's interesting is once you've laid out your dice, say, okay, this is the path I want to go. What you're going to do is you're going to have to roll and resolve your dice. Now, you can do 1 die at a time. You'll pick up a die and roll it. If you're successful, you'll move. Well, typically you're going to be successful unless you roll an exclamation point. Well, an exclamation point is fine, but we're just going to use the standard card rules here. If you ever roll 3 exclamation points, that's bad. Something bad happens. You stalled off. You're on the side of the road. So you can roll 1 die at a time. And C, it's like you keep going. It's like, oh, I have two exclamation points. Do I want to stop rolling? Do I want to risk it? Or do I want to risk that next die roll? No, I'm just going to stop where I am. And then what you do is, based on the gear that you finished in, there are these cards that you'll take that have a time associated with them. The higher number gear has a lower time because you're moving faster, and the lower gears have a higher time. Now, that's one die at a time. Or you could just going flat out. Now, this is a very risky option where you're going to pick up your entire pool of die and roll them all at once and just pray that you don't have 3 exclamation points come up. Because if you do, then what you have to do is you have to lay out the die however you want, but you got to lay them out to the point where you've resolved that 3rd exclamation point. So you lay them out however you can, but once you get to that 3rd exclamation point, your car stops there. You're going to pick the previous gear, bad things happen. So that is the push your luck portion of it, but there is a reward because you're going to count the number of gear dice that you have plus the number of coast dice, and you're going to get these little tokens that represent seconds. It's -1 second per token that you have. And Tony, those can be spent in order to help eliminate those exclamation point rolls, or just skip where you don't even have to roll the die at all when you roll 1 die at a time. But for every token you have at the end of the game, it total all those up and those come off your final time.
And so you're in the gear, it sets your time, you're moving along. And, there's a unique mechanism where as you're playing, you're like, well, what about the other players? What are they doing? Well, on their turn, the game spaces you out. Now, there's a chance that someone can catch up to you, but highly unlikely unless they're not doing a really good job or they're slow poking along. They're driving in the left lane, doing 45 on a 70-mile-per-hour interstate or something like that. But yeah, it's all about manipulating those dice, picking the gears that allow you to navigate the corners. To me, it was, how do I get through these corners now? And without a visual, I think it's kind of hard to explain, sliding and shortcuts and
drifting,
that kind of stuff. For anybody that has ever done Mario Kart, you know what a drift is. Come on, that's what you're doing. You're drifting through the corners, and it's telling you it may take you a little bit longer to get through the corners, but you got some things.
But you can go at a higher speed because each of the corners indicate the gear that you have to be in when you come into that corner. And if you're drifting, it allows you to come in a little bit higher gear than as if you just take a normal turn. So like, for example, you could drift through a turn when in gear 3, or you could take it slowly through the turn in 2nd gear. But the benefit of gear 3 is at the end of your turn, you're going to get to take the number 3 card, which is better time.
I'm going to be honest with you, Mike, that's really it to this game. I mean, it's getting those dice, deciding when to roll, go flat out as you build. I mean, we played one of the easier tracks, in my opinion, the beginner track, I would say it. So, and with our car, we didn't have the spin outs. We didn't have the issues that came up that I'm sure would, if you were to pick a regular car, it would happen. But the regular cars, they take the 3 exclamation point, but you also get 2 coast dice. So that's the balance there. The leader has a special dice called the orange dice, the leader dice, that he has to roll as well. And it has more exclamations on it. And it's kind of like the catch-up mechanic. And But, once again, I just enjoyed, there was different ways to attack the course. And each of us were like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And I was like, well, I'm going to try to go at this rate and end up with these points. And to be honest with you, I mean, it was a surprise how it ended. I mean, we were close, but it wasn't like something where it was like a huge difference. We all did really well.
Well, and it's interesting because the greater chances that you take, the greater chance of reward, because you're just going to get through the track quicker. Which I was probably too cautious on a couple curves, and you guys came in a little bit hotter on a curve, and because of that, your time through the curve was a lot quicker than what mine was, and it was hard for me to make that up down the road. We talked about, just if you do happen to get 3 exclamation points, what's going to happen is each section of the track has a color associated with it, a color sign, red, orange, or yellow, and that will dictate number of damage tokens you pull from the bag. Now, these damage tokens can reduce the gear die that you have, reduce the coast die that you have. So when you have less access to dice, basically it's simulating you've taken a little bit of damage, so you just won't have as much access to the dice as what you normally do. Now, you do have this card that's called a change tire, which you can use in order to possibly get back like one of your coast die if you want to. So damage is done by reducing the amount of die that are available to you.
Right. I would play it again. And we'll talk about at the end of our 3 racing games how we would rank them on when we would play them. But I would definitely enjoy this. Other than the corners, I think this game's fairly straightforward to teach.
I think you need to see examples. I think because of all of us learning, doing examples, and it's one of those things that you also need to, like when I talked about at the end of your turn, you're going to take the gear that you were last at and you're going to put it in your pile. That's the gear you start out next turn. So say, for example, that I finished in 3rd gear and it comes around to my turn again. I'm starting out in 3rd gear. So that means I can either coast in 3rd, go up to 4th, drop down to 2nd. And so that top card always designates what your starting point's going to be. Once we've all gone through the track, we're going to pick up our stack of cards, add up the total time on those cards, subtract off any of the second tokens that we have for that final turn. Now, again, this is different than Rallyman GT, where you're just racing to finish the finish line first. I kind of like this time element. The other 2 games we're going to talk about is strictly racing who can come in first, but this time element is really slick. Now, let me ask you, Tony, do you think that on a certain track that you would just play it the same way every time? You think maybe you could optimize the die to where I'm always going to do this pattern of die every time I play the game on this particular track? Or maybe there's enough randomness when you roll the die that you may get 3 exclamation points and it'll screw you up and you have to change your pattern.
Yeah, I would have the same plan, but I think the dice could definitely manipulate that strategy. You know, I'm going to go into this corner, and it's always, well, if you were to play this same course again and again, you would always try to beat your time, and eventually you'd find out, okay, this is the only way as long as there's no explanation points. What is the quickest way I can get through this? But that's when the cars change up and how they react to the die.
And again, you could do this where you set up a track and do multiple time trials through it, like do 3 of them and then total up, and whoever had the shortest amount of time wins that. You could run a track, set up another track, do it again. So you can play the game however you want. 1 race, multiple time trials, however you want to do it. So there's a lot of flexibility, and there's different types of terrain too. So we basically raced on the dirt, but there's also asphalt, and there's snow, and there's special rules for that. And the number of dice you'll have access on those roads are a little bit different. So there's variability in the terrain that you're actually racing on too.
A lot of options here. Yep. Let's go racing again. I'm ready. I enjoyed it. Rallyman Dirt. I'd like to play GT eventually just to compare the 2, but this was definitely one of those. If you enjoy dice rolling type games like this, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
And actually, if you're interested, I'm going to be doing a Rallyman GT online tournament sponsored by Synapsis. Since I never played, I need to get some time in. So on our Discord channel, we're actually going to do an online game using BGA. So if you're interested in joining up, come join, because you can play asynchronously, and we'll learn how to play that way.
Do we have a date and time?
No, I think just people are signing up, and somebody's going to start the game, and we'll kind of play as we go. So that is Rallyman Dirt from Synapsis Games. Not your typical racing game because of the time element, but it's a unique twist. I haven't played in a racing game before, and I love the dice manipulation mechanic.
MiniatureMarket.com to get those board games that you are dying to have. It's getting time near Gen Con, so be sure to be watching those pages. They may have some pre-orders up. If you're not getting the email list, you're not going to get any notifications. Make sure you have an account there so that you can build a watch list or a notification list. So when things are out of stock, you will get notified when they get back in stock. Kind of like Star Wars Unlimited. It'll be gone before you know it. But be sure to head over to miniaturemarket.com for all your gaming needs.
Five-minute initiative begins in 3, 2, 1.
Sandbag, designed by Ted Alsbach from Bezier Games, is a game that is a trick-taking game about not taking tricks. That's it.
It's like you want to shoot the moon every hand. You don't want any tricks because tricks at the end of the game are going to be worth points, and you want the fewest points possible after 3 rounds.
And I'm tired of giving out $5. Shoot the moon is when you usually take tricks. You want to go null bid.
My apologies.
All right. So to me, when we played this game, we were like, okay, we love card games. And to wrap our head around a game where you're not wanting to take tricks, which in like an open shot when you bid 0, we understand the concept of that. Trump is shown, and there is a trump card in this. So you know how you're going to bid. That if I don't have a lot of trump, then I am in good shape here. However, in this game, trump is determined by the cards that people play in front of them, based on colors and numbers and things like that. The rule book is very quick to read. This game is about being able to manipulate the trump in front of one another, so that if I've got a bunch of purple and suddenly the way it starts out, purple's now trump, I need to do everything I can to get that trump changed. And there are ways to manipulate the cards in front of one another that allows you to do that. Marty, that is this game to me. That is how you will play Sandbag is, how do I manipulate the cards in front of one another to keep from taking tricks?
Here's the thing is there are 5 different colors of cards, numbered 0 through 10, depending on the number of players and how many cards you're going to use. But all the cards are dealt out. You'll pass 1 card to the left, pass 1 card to the right. But here's where it gets weird. You're going to take 2 cards and put them face down in front of you. Then take a 3rd card, turn it 90 degrees, and put it below those other 2 cards that are face down. Once everybody's done that, you take those 2 cards that were placed first and flip them up. The color on the most face-up cards in players' baskets is going to determine the trump color. Those 2 cards that are face-up are called the basket, and the card that's beneath it turned sideways is called the sandbag. But here's the kicker. Tony, you can use other players' cards that are in their basket. You can't use their own, but you could potentially play somebody else's card from across the table, depending on certain things. Like if you're the very first player, you can take one of their cards, play it from the middle of the table, and take one of your cards and put it face down in front of them. And that could be done across the entire table. And that is when you could possibly change what tricks are taken. And in fact, you don't want any face-up cards in front of you at the end of the round because any point value showing on those face-up cards are worth points.
So when the round is done, you're going to do your basic scoring. So it's 1 point for each face-down balloon card, including any face-down balloon cards in their basket. If you have rocket cards, which are special cards, that's -5 points for, it depends on the number of players, -7 for a 5 or 6 game. And the sum of the values of any face-up cards in their basket. Guess what? Person with the lowest points wins. That's Sandbag. So I go back again and say this game is about manipulating trump. Someone who plays cards constantly. That's what I've got to do. I've got to use those abilities of how to play cards that are not in front of me, but are in other people's baskets. I need to know when to do that and when to get cards out of my hand. And I think that was one of the concepts of the many times we played this that I just was slow in grasping. And I thought about it when we were done. I was like, what was I missing? Because card games are my jam. I know how to play card games.
Yeah, and I think it's the fact that there's these 4 only these 4 specific situations where you can play somebody else's card. If you're playing in the first trick, or if you take a card of the lead color, so if you lead red, I can take somebody else's red in front of them and play them. If you have no cards in your hand of the lead color, or if you only have 1 card of the lead color and you use that card to swap. So if I only have 1 red left, and that's what led, I can give that to somebody else face down and take what was in front of them and play it. Now, remember when I said during setup, you place that 1 card 90 degrees turn below your 2 cards in your basket? That card is your sandbag card, and that's kind of a get out of jail free card. Anytime you do not want to take a trick, play your sandbag card and you're guaranteed not to take it. So that kind of gives you a quick out if you think you're getting ready to get stuck and take a trick, but you only get to use it once per round. So with all that going on, it was sort of a brain burner. Of the trick-taking cards we played recently, it was really hard to wrap my mind around how to play it, especially just the passing of the cards. At the beginning, you're going to pass one to the left, pass one to the right. Well, don't want to give a high card, don't want to give a low card, don't want to short suit myself. what are the 2 cards I want to put in front of me? I don't want to put high cards because nobody will take them, but I want to keep the low cards in my hand so I can use them to make sure to get underneath the trick. Oh, it was a head scratcher.
Yes, it was. Or knowing, hey, maybe I'll be able to play someone else's cards in front of them. And once again, you don't know what the trump is, especially at a higher player count. You don't know what's going down in front there to determine the trump. And there's a way to slough off a card by playing one down in front of you. And there's ways to even add more cards that are down to slough off depending on the point scores. Someone who enjoys card games, this is not one that I will put on the cruise, not because it's not a good game, because the people I go on a cruise with, I think would have a hard time grasping this. This is the next level to me in a non-trick taking game.
Yes, this is not an entry-level trick-taking game.
Mm-mm.
They did some others which I might be more interested in. Like we did Xylotar earlier this year, which I think would be an easier game. Even though it's kind of a memory game, it'll still be easier to teach than this one. Ted Alspach's a really good designer. He comes with really clever designs. And this one's really different and kind of off the wall. So this is one of those you kind of need to go through a couple times, play many, many rounds to figure out what the trick is, in actually grasping or grokking this game.
That's right. So that is Sandbag from Bezier Games.
5-minute initiative is complete.
The next racing game we got to the table was Charioteer by Matt Calkins from GMT Games. You're back in the Coliseum. You're Ben-Hur. You're fighting for your life. You've got a team of 4 horses in front of you, and you've got the competition to your left and to the right. The crowd is going wild. The Emperor is there, and you have got to race around the Forum, not the Coliseum, because that would have been $5, I bet. You've got to race 3 times to become the winner, to spare your life. Will the thumbs go up or will the thumbs go down? Wait a minute, that's gladiators. Never mind. Okay. This game, you're thinking GMT, okay, give me the 500-page rule book. No, it's not there. Sorry to disappoint. You're on your turn. You're going to be selecting cards. Then simultaneously, everybody's going to be selecting cards, and we'll talk about what's important about how the cards are selected. Once that's done, you begin to move the chariots and collect rewards one at a time. Leader goes first. You check for the end of the lap or the game, and then you set up for the next turn. I'll admit, setting up a bunch of dice like we talked about with Rallyman Dirt, that was pretty simple. This is straight there too. I mean, Marty, how simple can this be?
No dice are involved in this game at all. Everything's done through very clever card play. The fact that you are simultaneously selecting cards and playing cards and resolving, the moves are very easy to resolve. There's very little downtime in this game.
Right.
Because at the end, we talk about the replenish phase is really draw back up, shift a couple cards in the crowd deck in the middle of the arena, which we'll talk about in a second, what those do. Rinse, repeat. Until the race is over. First person to finish the finish line wins the game. But what I like about this, Tony, is that there's different abilities that each of the charioteers may have. You're giving cards at the beginning of the game, and there's different skills that each of you may have that you can level up over the course of the game. Some's going to be better at like doing some attacks. A charioteer is going to be better at sprinting. Somebody else is going to be better at taking corners. And another one is going to start out with a little bit of an advantage in recovery, being able to heal from any attacks that are done. And I really like that part that as you race, your skill levels start going up over the course of the game.
That's right. And it never goes down. Sometimes you mess up, the skill levels is down. So, I mean, so the cards that you're playing, let's talk about the cards a little bit. There's 4 colors on the cards. Marty mentioned them already. Green is for sprinting. Red is for damage. Yellow is for healing or recovery. And black is for going into corners. The green, the sprinting, straightforward. You're just going out. You're whipping the horses and you're moving down the track. I mean, matter of fact, the green have the highest numbers, 2, 4, and 6. So you're flying down the track. Red is the damage. You can still move down the track, but you can cause damage based on the number of red symbols you play to the other charioteers. Recovery allows you to heal damage from your racer. Okay, that he's been injured, so you're able to maybe apply a bandage while you're racing. I don't know how you did this, but you did. You got the damage off your charioteer. You move a little bit slower. And the corners, the black cards are special because you can race through the corner with any of the colors. However, the black cards allow you to you're slowing down, so you're able to take the inside track. So if you're going into them fast, going in hot, you're going to be drifting to the top of the track. But if you're going in slower with the black cards, which only go up to 2, then you will be taking the inside track. Now, on your turn, you will select up to 3 cards. Of those cards, 2 of those cards, the symbols must match in color and number. When you do that you are able to move your charioteer forward based on the numbers in the circle. First thing you'll do is, the number in the circle plus the number of colors that you've played will allow you to advance that amount, plus any skill bonuses that you have. Plus, there is the crowd card that the crowd wants to see this type of move in the forum. And if it matches number and symbol, then you get to count that as part of your match set. You're playing sets of cards. That's what you're doing. But strategically, you're trying to move as quickly through the forum and holding on certain cards, bluffing when you can. And that's how you basically move around the forum. What did I forget?
No, I think that's it. Like a prime example is if I play 3 cards and each of them has a green 2 on it, and then it so happens the crowd card has a green 2, I'm going to count up the number of green symbols I'm showing, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus the number in that symbol 2. I can move forward 6. But there's also, if you ever play a set of cards and you have 6 symbols matching, you get to reach your hand into a bag and pull out a token. That token could also be a bonus value that you're adding to a particular color. So these tokens are really good bonuses to have. And that's the amount that you're going to move for that turn. Now, Tony had mentioned there's actually an attack. Let's say Tony plays an attack and he has 3 matching red symbols. That's considered a minor injury, and all of us are going to take a blue cube to indicate we've taken a damage. If he plays 4 of a kind, we actually take 2 damage. Now, what's the thing with damage? Damage, the number of damage cubes you have on your card, you subtract that from your total speed. So if I got 2 damage, my total advancements is going to be 6. 6 minus 2, I'm going to move 4. That's where playing yellow cards come in, because playing yellow cards allows you to heal and remove damage.
Now, Marty mentioned there was no dice. There's one die, the Emperor. He wants to be pleased, so you're going to roll the Emperor's dice, and he will determine, what type of move he wants to see, sprint, attack, recovery, or corner. And when he does, if you do that, if you match the color, then you will get to advance an extra space. Mm-hmm. And then there's the disrupt, where the Emperor tries to damage the player. He's not attacking us, of course, but he's inciting the crowd to throw tomatoes at us. And he will add damage cubes to each player's attack box according to the number of players. So if you're playing with 2 people, the crowd's going to hit you with 3 tomatoes. That's the way that works. So once again, number of cards you played, plus your skill bonus, minus your damage, plus any tokens that you may have played during that time will determine how you move on the racetrack.
And the skill bonus, whatever cards that you play, you're going to move that matching color token on your player board to the right. Mm-hmm. Once you get it to a certain number of spaces to the right, it's going to be an automatic +1 to whenever you play those color cards. But at the far right of the board, you're going to start filling in spots like +3, +5, etc. So if you can get one skill all the way to the right side of the board, you're going to get big bonuses for playing that particular color. And while I was talking about everybody has different skills starting out, those tokens are set up in a vertical line, and the one on top is the first one that's going to move into the bonus before the last one does. All the Charioteer cards have those tokens in a different order. So if Tony has the yellow token on top, he'll be able to get a +1 on his yellow before maybe I would, but maybe I can get a +1 on my green before he would because my green's higher than his green on his board. So that's how the whole skills thing work. So literally play cards, move, rinse and repeat. You're trying to attack. You're trying to strategically hold particular cards. You can see the upcoming crowd cards. You see what's being resolved, and you see the next two that's coming up.
There's one move that we didn't talk about, and that's the reset move. If you've taken a ton of damage, you can basically give up your turn, play 3 cards. They don't have to match at all. And then you announce, hey, I'm resetting here. Discard those cards, clear all your damage out that's in your damage box, and you have reset. You've basically wiped that away. Now, if you had taken damage during that turn, those will move over. So, Marty, this game was very easy for me to teach to people who are not gamers. I was very pleased with this. I've played with 6. We've played with 4. 6 went a little long, but there's other racing games that can go up to 6. But I like this one better because the concept of playing sets is straightforward to a lot of people. If you know how to play sets like in Ticket to Ride, this one is an easy one to teach.
Now, I will say that in the games that we played, there were times when there is luck of the draw from the deck. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, man, you just happen to draw a good set of cards with like a lot of green 6s that you can take a big lead. So the randomness is definitely in the deck that you're drawing from. And we're all drawing from the common deck. And once all the cards have been used, you shuffle them up and go again. All the randomness really comes from the deck draw itself. Probably over the course of 3 laps, it'll all kind of even out anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's just strategically, how do you play your cards? Do you want to build up one particular skill, 2 particular skills? Then at that point, you're going to focus on that thing. Do you want to be the person that attacks and tries to slow everybody else down? Or do you say, don't care if I get attacked because my recovery's so high, so I know I can always heal damage from myself, that sort of thing. It's just what approach you want to take when you play.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing, there's when you pass through chariots, there's specific ways that they move around one another. You have to consider that in your various strategies as you're playing, because, as you're going into a corner, do you want to go in at full sprinting? Now, it'll take you longer to get through there. So, but maybe that's what you need to do because that's you got nothing but green in your hand and it will help you. But you also know that coming out of that corner, maybe you're going to sprint down the track. A lot of decisions with the cards, a lot of, how am I going to stay up with everyone? You cannot get behind. I found that the reset move, it can hurt. Maybe you reset in a corner when everybody is slowing down. Maybe that'll help you because you are shedding cards and you are eliminating damage. And you also know that people may not be playing as many damage cards during corners. So that's part of the strategy. Mm. Emperor's Die comes into play. It's not a big thing, because, it just adds 1 to the move, but it is one that maybe will help you pass somebody or get in better positions on the next turn.
This game surprised me. Coming from GMT, I was not expecting something so simple and straightforward, but it really is. I like the theme, the racing. It really feels like you're having to decide decisions, when to move. Do you want to take that, like you said, take that turn on the inside corner? Should I save up the black to make sure I can get around that corner as fast as I can, etc.? I liked it. It doesn't stay on the table too long. The simultaneous play means we're constantly moving. We're not waiting on somebody else to do their thing. It's just constantly moving until somebody eventually ends the race. Now, some races we had, we did see there was some catch up. I remember Mark in our last race we had was really far behind, but actually caught up to me pretty quickly, thanks to some clever card play and stuff like that he was able to pull off.
Is that what it was? Because I'm going to say he got better cards than I did. And I suddenly was following. I wore my horses out. They were not going very far.
You were whipping them. Actually, there's a whip token.
There's a whip token, yeah. So, but how else would you, for saying, how do we institute an attack in a game? When you said theme, it could be probably anything, but I like how, I envision based on the movies like Ben-Hur and things where you are attacking one another in the forum, trying to race it out. And I think that applies very well to this game. So that is Charioteer from GMT Games.
5-minute initiative begins in 3, 2, 1.
A game that just came out from 21st Century Games called, Tony, you're a traveler. How do you say that? Agueda?
Agueda.
Agueda. City of Umbrellas, which is a city in Portugal. This is a game that plays 1 to 5 players, 20 to 40 minutes, as you're going to be drafting the tops of umbrellas, different color umbrellas, and you're going to be placing them on your board to get, guess what? Get victory points. And the person who drafts those umbrellas and puts them on the board the most efficiently is going to score the most points. So right in the middle of the table, you've got this little board, these really nice wooden umbrella pieces. They're different colors, 4 different colors. You seed the board by pulling them out of the bag, and you're going to draft either 1, 2, or 3 umbrellas. You could take 1 umbrella and you get a coin in return. If you take 2 umbrellas, it costs you nothing and you get nothing. But if you take one of the rows with 3 umbrellas, it actually costs you a coin. And then you're going to place that on one of the 3 rows on your board. You must start from the leftmost open spot and place those umbrellas. And I was like, okay, Marty, that sounds pretty simple. Yes. The thing is that at the beginning of the game, there's these objective cards that's going to say, at the end of the game, if you happen to have this color or this color in a column, you're going to score a victory point. If you happen to have any column with this color, you're going to score victory points. If you have all these colors, there's multiple ways to score victory points based on in-game objectives. And also, each row on your board could potentially score points by placing a worker there, and it'll have a token with 2 colors on it, and you're going to score 1 point for every of that color that's in that row. But Tony, what's cute is, aside from the drafting, those scoring tokens can rotate over the course of the game.
Yes, when you take a break with your tourists, they go back to the hotel to sleep. That's when you do. So you need to be thinking about that. Eventually you're going to have to take a break. You're going to have to send them back, the tourists back up to the top. And you need to be thinking on your placement. If I take certain umbrellas and I place them in this row, when am I taking a break? You got to be giving a little forward thought to this. Now, we compared this to Azul. We've compared this to other type of games like this. I mean, straightforward rule teach, easy to do, making people understand, making them not mess up on placing tourists. Like, can I place I've placed a tourist here. Can I go back and place another tourist in that spot? No, you can either place 1 or place 2, and you can't, go back and replace them and try to score again. The mural allows you to add more tourists to their board when you complete it. In-game scoring, like you said, various cards. Did you complete your mural? It'll give you so many points. Any empty umbrella spaces, -1. There you go. Highest victory points is the winner. Overall, this is a fairly straightforward, easy teach game. I've played it with the full allotment here. It was kind of a slow play as people, because there's no way to plan forward because you don't know which row they're taking.
Because after umbrellas are drafted, you immediately replenish them from the bag. Now, I think when you and I played, Tony, we immediately replenished them. So as one person was taking the turn, at least the next person kind of tried to decide what they want to do. That helped just a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I did. But other than that, I mean, I'd do my turn and then 4 more people would go. There was no reason for me to sit there. So a good game to take bathroom breaks on if you need to. All right. Or go refill drinks or go get snacks or whatever. When I asked my group about this, they said they enjoyed the game, but they tend to like other ones like this more. Nothing against it. It was just that they didn't, I also think that the scoring mechanism of the various shops, they got confused. So,
I'm sorry. The shops they're referring to are those objective cards, which I mentioned earlier.
Right, yeah, the objective cards. And I think that kind of hampered the gameplay for them. So you've got to make sure you talk about those up front, how they work. Just like in any of these type of games with these objective cards. I mean, I mentioned Sagrada earlier in the show. If you don't mention those at the beginning and really talk about how you score them, it will mess people up and they will have a distaste. I thought I did a good job, but obviously I didn't.
Yeah. So these tourists we're talking about, you start out with 3, and like you said, you can unlock 3 more over the course of the game. But as you're filling in those rows of umbrellas, you need to fill in a umbrella in a certain spot on that row to flip over one of the mural tiles that's on the left side of your board. And when you flip over 2 of the tiles side by side, that's what unlocks an additional tourist. And there's a total of 6 tiles to flip over. So by the end of the game, you may have 6 tourists. So you also have to think about, too, is those scoring tiles on the left side of your board that are rotate every time you take a rest. you have to manipulate those to get those into the right row for the best potential scoring. If I have a tile that's orange and blue on the first row and all my orange and blue on the third, then I need to rest at least twice to get that scoring tile rotated down to that bottom row. And then I could put 2 tourists there, score 1 point for orange, 1 point for every blue, etc. So that plus the objective cards, I like the drafting. I like the fact if you take 3, it costs you a token. So you can't always do that. You're going to need to take a single token. And towards the end of the game, as you're filling up the board, you got to be really careful on what you draft, because when there's very few spaces left, you want to try to maximize those final points.
That's right. And one thing that you got to also remember is somebody can rush to the end, because even if there's, 2 spaces left, they can take a 3 row and they just have to discard one of the umbrellas, one of the plastic umbrellas. So you got to be watching, because as soon as that's full, one person's is full, everybody gets one more turn and that's it. Game over.
Yep.
So that is Agueda from 25th Century Games.
5-minute initiative is complete.
Now, one of the biggest racing games over the past several years by far has been Heat, Pedal to the Metal from Days of Wonder, designed by Asger Harding Granerud and Daniel Skold Peterson. Tony, you and I played this when it first came out a couple years ago. It plays 1 to 6 players in 60 minutes. This, as opposed to the other games, has a little bit different twist. This is more of a deck building game. As you're building a deck and you're playing cards over the course of the game and going to use your cards, going to go to your discard piles. But what's interesting about this, the name of the game is called Heat, because there are times where you're going to kind of push the limits of your car and add heat cards to your deck. And heat are basically kind of useless cards that you can't use unless you come up with clever ways in order to reduce your heat. There's the concept of changing gears. You can change like 1 gear per turn, shift down. There are ways to push that. But the only way you can get rid of heat cards is if you're sitting in first or second gear. There's a chance for you to discard the heat cards out of your hand back to a common pile in the middle of the table. But if you just got to push that pedal to the metal, maybe it's risk taking on the extra heat into your deck in order to go for the victory. Now, we've covered this game before, but there's a new expansion called Heat Heavy Rain, which adds 2 brand new maps and adds a new car, but it also adds an element where you now have water in the corners. So we played the Japan map, which adds the concept of putting water in the corner, or puddles of water in the corner of the track. And the rule is with the water is that if you're in the corners, in order to shift down, you have to take a heat card. You're coming in there. It's like you're slipping, you're sliding, you're hitting the brakes. You're going to be putting a little extra stress on that engine. It's harder to brake in the corners with this expansion than it is in the base.
For those that don't remember about corners in Heat, and maybe you haven't pulled it off your shelf in a while, I know I haven't. When you go past a certain point on a corner, if your speed has exceeded that corner based on the number on the board, you will then take heat into your deck. And if you do not have enough heat to pay for that, then you will spin out and you'll go back to where you entered the corner, or not back right before you went into the corner. And then you lost position on the track. When you're playing this expansion, you had to manage, prior to playing, you had to manage the heat as you went into the corner. And should I blow through this corner to kind of gain on other people? Do I have the heat I'm able to add to my deck? That was part of the base game. This expansion says, I've got to downshift, because when you're downshifting, it's the number of cards you're playing, you risk not having the heat to blow through the corner. So you've got to navigate the corners more. You need to be prepared for those so that you're not spinning out. That is, to me, that's what this game adds. It adds more strategy in navigating the corners.
Yeah, which was the biggest part of the game, because for those who hadn't played in a while, you're going to discard cards and you're going to add up those values. And basically that's going to be your speed. So you got to discard cards equal to whatever gear you're in. Second gear, you discard 2 cards, etc. So you want to prep yourself coming into the corner. It's like, oh crap, I don't have a lot of low value cards. I need to shift down as low as I can. So that make sure when I go through that corner that I don't exceed the speed limit. But then you got to think, it's like, well, if the corners are wet, if they're flooded, and I need to shift in the corner, that means an extra heat. So I need to shift way before I hit that corner. And that came into play for me several times, Tony. I had to take heat in the corners a few times, and I ran out of heat cards and ended up spinning out in that last lap because I couldn't get rid of the heat cards in my hand.
There's new upgrade cards, which is part of the deck building. We didn't do the upgrades. We were mostly concentrating on this one side because I think for me, this game has always been about manipulating the corners, being able to manage the cards you're playing and taking those risks when you want to. Do I want to blow through it? So I liked that part of it. Now, overall, Heat, the game itself, I had forgotten a lot about this game. And it took us a while to get back into the rules, okay?
Because it's a phase-driven game. You're just going to go through multiple phases, shift gears up or down, play your cards, reveal your cards, leader will move. If you have the stress card, you have to draw. It's a special type of card. You have to reveal a card off the top of your deck, which could blow your limit. If you're in last place, you have adrenaline where you could possibly move an extra spot. If you can react. If you have special icons on your card like cooldown, etc., that you could use to help get rid of heat. That's where the boost comes in, which you mentioned, where it's showing some additional cards if you're on a straightaway. Then there's that whole slipstream thing we had to learn, where if you end your turn beside somebody or behind somebody, you can actually slipstream around them. And then you finally check your corners, discard, and start over again. So it's a very phase-driven game where each of you are going through the phases, sometimes simultaneously, sometimes one player at a time.
Yeah. I was like, why did this game suddenly become so complicated for me?
I think because it was the third of the 3 racing games that we played, and the other 2 were a lot more straightforward when it comes to the rules and everything like that.
Right. I enjoy Heat, but it's one that I think I remember playing this back with Donna and the family, and it took me a while to get them to understand the phases. But the same group I did Charioteer with, and I know we're supposed to be talking about the Heat expansion, but I'm bleeding over here on that. I didn't have that issue. So I think it's, game group dependent as you are playing this. Now, as far as this expansion goes, if you enjoy the corner aspect and the challenge, you definitely need to pick it up for Japan.
It does add 2 new tracks, and the other track adds a feature where there's like 2 consecutive corner lines with the same speed limit between them. So it's another thing of having to deal with the corners, or if you're into the championship series and you want to have some new event cards or upgrades, this might be for you. This expansion on Miniature Market's $35. I think you have to decide how much do you like Heat to whether you want to spend $35 on it. I think if you just want to buy the extra track, I'm not sure if it's worth $35. But if you want to throw in the extra elements of you got 2 types of new mechanics on these 2 separate tracks. You do have the extra cards that can be used in the base game. You do have an extra card that's given to you that you can use. Maybe it might be worth it. I think personally for me, the Heat base game is more than enough game in that box for me personally. I do appreciate what was added in this expansion, but I think if I was choosing, do I need to buy this extra expansion, I may hold off and probably get more out of my base Heat game before moving on to this one.
Yeah, I mean, adding the additional player, the base Heat plays 6, this can play up to 7. I don't know if I want to put 7 on this. I mean, that just moving around the track, it may go a little bit long for me. And my patience, because by the time you move around and move all the cars in position, it would be interesting with all the slipstreaming going on, but still. So I don't know. I always look at these games for, is the maps worth it? So I guess it's what element for me do I enjoy about Heat? So the corners, I like the maps, but I've never played the championship series. So for me, is it worth those 2 tracks? Probably not.
Okay. So that is Heat and the new expansion Heavy Rain, which is out now.
ShopPortalGames.com for all those amazing Portal games. Imagine that. It's in the title of the URL. There you go. For example, Imperial Miners, Go get you 11. Right now, there's a 24% discount on 11 by entering code Euro 2024. And then the big one, pre-order now and get an additional 10 extra scenarios for AI Space Puzzle. We're going to get to play this, aren't we, Marty?
Yes, in fact, very soon we'll cover it in an upcoming episode.
And if you're in for some pain, some suffering, you want to flip a table, go out there and pre-order now Robinson Crusoe, the Collector's Edition, to get all those amazing miniatures. And those miniatures are not going to help you win. You're going to lose. You're going to die. But accept it. That is your fate on Robinson Crusoe. Adventures on the Cursed Island. That's shopportalgames.com.
So, Tony, this was our race-focused episode where we cover 3 different games: Rallyman Dirt, Heat with the expansion, plus Charioteer. So let's do some final conclusions. If you're going to rank these, Tony, there's 3 games sitting in front of you. What's going to be the first one you pick up to play of those 3? And we'll just kind of go back and forth.
I think for me, I've thought a lot about this. I am going to go with Charioteer.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being that I enjoy the simultaneous play and I enjoy the interaction with the attacking.
I will echo that sentiment.
Okay.
Charioteer. I think it's an easy game to play. I'm super impressed. Again, this comes from GMT Games because, like you said, it's not a 50-page rule book. It's a very simple concept of racing. I like the clever card play. Simultaneous play makes it very smooth and fast to play.
Mm-hmm. Next, Rallyman Dirt. Love the dice. Love that concept of the dirt, of Rallyman, of placing the dice out there, rolling, taking the risk, having to throttle down, gear down, shift down. I enjoyed that very much. I also like the fact that in this one, though, you can not be competing. You're competing to have the best time. So I enjoy that. That's something new and different, and it's different than any other game that I have, racing game.
I, too, also picked Rallyman Dirt. I think the time trial is really interesting. It may take a little time for somebody to plan out their turn because they're trying to plan out what's the best strategic way to lay out shifting and upshifting and downshifting gears, coasting, braking, etc. And then, but even once that's done, they have to decide, do I roll one die at a time or all of them in bulk? So a player's turn could take a little bit longer, but I really like that planning and strategy of laying out your path and your speed as you go around. So I will agree with you there, which means, surprisingly, 2 years ago, I was in love with Heat. Loved this game. I love deck building games. And when we first came into this, I thought for sure Heat was going to be my number 1, and it ended up being 3rd.
It doesn't mean it's bad.
No.
Right?
No,
it just means...
Heat was remember, you couldn't even find Heat for for months because they ran out and had to reprint it. But yeah, I was kind of surprised it ended up 3rd on our list.
Yeah, and I think and in my ranking, it is just ease of play. You know, what I can get on the table quickly, what rules are going to come back to me quicker. And Heat's going to take a little time for me to go thumb through the rulebook, especially if I haven't played in 6 months. Because like you, it falls on me to teach the rules. And I'm like, okay, I do not have time. Charioteer, I can get that out. I got a feeling with Rallyman, I'd be able to quickly grasp those in no time and easily demonstrate to people what they need to do. And
also, if you're into solo play, Rallyman is perfect for solo because you just create a course and see how fast can you get through it.
Yeah, I think it'd be boring in Charioteer.
A solo play in Charioteer? Yes, it would. So that's why we probably need to check out Rallyman GT to see how an actual racing game works against each other. But I really like that dice mechanic too. But I'm like with you on Heat. I forgot. It's like, oh yeah, we got these very particular phases. Got to resolve this, got to resolve that. Oh, don't forget, if you're in last place, you get this. So don't forget, if you want to slipstream, you get to do this, etc. There's a lot of kind of maintenance as you go through the phase where the others are so fluid, especially Charioteer.
There you go. That's my thoughts on racing games. Now I got a bunch in the closet. Could easily say, okay, I can get rid of this, but I would keep these 3 games on my shelf.
Yes, I would get rid of Flamme Rouge. I think these replaced any of the Flamme Rouge for me. We still need to play Thunder Alley, but that's a more in-depth game for sure. Right. That's not going to be, one of these style of games. But yeah, I think they're all 3 different in their own aspects, with Rallyman Dirt being a time trial, dice-driven game, simultaneous card play game of Charioteer, and a deck building game of Heat. So they're all very different in how they play.
So like in Rallyman GT, keep rolling dice.
And downshifting. And taking names. Make sure to follow us on our social media at Dyson Names if you want.
We still got that? We still got social media?
Yeah, we still do. We got like an Instagram and X. Definitely we get most of our interaction on Discord. You can find the link over on our website, rolldicetakenames.com. Come and hang out with us.
And be sure to use any of our discount codes like RDTN over at eWin Racing Chairs to get 30% off. So that is Agueda. See, I even messed it up. Agueda from 25th Century Games. Let me do that again. That is Agueda from 20th. Good God. Agueda from 25th Century
Games.